Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia. I am a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography and your host. On today's episode, I'm sharing my chat with the lovely Greta. She got married in the Hawke's Bay and we chat through her whole love story, the planning process, how she tried to do a lot of it herself, dealing with every kind of weather on their wedding day and how that affected her, how much they spent on their wedding, going away on honeymoon straight away, and dealing with the post-wedding blues. We go into all of it. Make sure you head to Instagram at the Kiwi Wedding Podcast to check out some of her beautiful photos and find all the vendors there as well as in the show notes. Enjoy episode 93 with Greta. Hi Greta, thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today. So excited to chat all about your wedding.
Oh, thanks for having me here. It's really exciting to be able to chat with you.
So good. So to start with, if you could just tell me a bit about you and your partner, how you guys met and your life together.
So my name's Greta and my partner's name is Sam, or my now husband. We have been together forever, really. Since we met when I was 14 and Sam was 15, actually at a ballroom dancing class that we did when we were younger. We were partnered up and we've sort of been together ever since then. So we've really gone through a lot together and sort of growing up together. We actually, when we were younger, our parents' houses were only the road next to each other anyway. So that was funny. And then we now live in Auckland. We live centrally in Auckland with our dog Maisie. We managed to buy a house in COVID times. So we've been here since then, but we grew up in Auckland and have been overseas traveling and things like that. But we're now settled based here.
So good. Cute way to meet and kind of like grow up together as well. Love that. Yeah, so you were together for quite a while, got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
So Sam, our whole relationship has always been really anti-marriage and no, we're not getting married. I don't believe in that. And even though I'm the child of divorced parents, but Sam's parents have been together forever and are still happily married. And so I'm not too sure where his thoughts and feelings came from with that. I think he just didn't like the idea of me sort of forcing him into wanting to get married. But anyway, I had been years and I'd sort of just let it go. I was like, okay, that's not important to him. That's all right. Like having a family is probably more of an importance to me if he doesn't want to get married. So we sort of just let it go. And obviously we were seeing everyone getting married around us and we were the longest long-term relationship out of all of our friends. And then I actually had no clue, and I'm very much the person that cannot be surprised. I'm very type A personality, and I'm the organizer of everything. So definitely it's hard to surprise me, and I actually had no idea. He now tells me that it was 18 months prior to when he actually did propose that he decided that he realized he did want to get married and said it to his best friend who was his best man and when we were away on holiday one night that I think I would like to marry Greta. Anyway, he did all of his planning. He engaged with a jewelry designer, started designing the ring. Sam has his degree at university. He studied industrial design, and so he's very much a designer. He now works in wardrobe and kitchen design and manufacturing, but he is very much a designer. He's built a lot of our furniture in our house, so that was a process that he really wanted to be involved in. So he was making the designer send the CAD model and everything to him so that he could make little tweaks. So that was very much him. It wasn't until a couple of days before we always go away for our anniversary and his birthday fall in the same weekend, normally in September. And so we always go away for a weekend, generally to celebrate that. And a few days before we were going away, he said, "Oh, we should invite my family and your family over on the Monday when we get back to have a late celebration for my birthday." I was like, "Hold on, you never organize anything. This is a bit off. Something's off." And I had also been given a Together Journal subscription from one of my old employers as a leaving gift. And I was always looking through it. And he had never engaged in the conversation around rings or weddings. And then suddenly he started being a bit more, "Oh, do you like the gold on that? Do you like this?" So I kind of had an idea he was starting to think about maybe it was something he wanted. So I just played along with it. But yeah, it wasn't until a few days before we headed away that I started getting an inkling. And then my mum randomly called me as well. And she was like, "Oh, you're going to have such a fun weekend away. Oh, have you had your nails done recently?" or something. And I was like, "Oh, everyone's being a bit fishy. I'm too good at catching on to things." So I feel that I knew it was coming, but only from a few days before. So we headed away for the weekend. We celebrated his birthday on the Friday. Then on the Saturday, we were going, we were staying at their family farm. They have a house that's on the beach up Tutakaka way. And we went down for a morning walk with our dog along the beach. And we were walking down towards the beach. And I was like, "Oh, his pockets, like there's nothing in his hands." I was like, "Maybe he's not going to do it." And then he pointed up towards the hillside and he was like, "Oh, look over there." I was like, "Oh God, is there going to be something written on the hillside?" And I was like, "Oh, something cringe like that." And then anyway, it wasn't that. He was like, "Oh, I just forgot my hat. I just need to go back inside and grab it." I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go." And then he went back inside, grabbed a hat, and then suddenly the energy was off. You could just sense the nervousness in the air. And we carried on our walk down the beach, and we were both so awkward because I could tell it was about to happen. He could tell like it was just all real funny. And this beach in front of them it's a private beach, so there was no one else around, because I'd always said that. I was like, "Please don't ever propose to me in a very public place or like on a public beach while we're outdoor walking." Anyway, we were walking along, and in such Sam fashion, he dropped a knee very quickly and didn't even did it, no prelude speech or anything. It was straight a, "Will you marry me?" He was so awkward. I was like, "Where's the speech?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh," because the ring, I kind of had an idea about what I wanted, but I actually didn't have a super strong opinion in it. And when I saw the ring, I loved it straight away. It was just beautiful. And I was like, "Oh, wow, is that mine?" Because I had somehow thought in my head, maybe he would just get like a borrowed ring from a jeweler, and then we'd go and design something together. So when he was like, "No, it's for you," he was like, "Are you saying yes?" And it was just this whole funny, we were both like awkward, like the tension was funny. And I automatically thought, "Oh, my hands are supposed to appear at my face like everybody else," but they just didn't. And the whole thing was just a funny, lovely awkwardness, but in a way that it was just so different for us. And I was really, really happy. He said I had to do it now because it was our 12th year together. He said if we had been together, he was like, "I couldn't do it on the 13th year because that would be bad luck. So I had to do it. I had to do it now." So anyway, it was really, really sweet. And we had a whole weekend away, just the two of us being able to celebrate, which was so nice, and rang all of our close friends who were sort of all overseas. So yeah, it was really, really sweet.
So lovely. It's so funny how it can, like, you obviously know each other and love each other so much, but just this like awkward build up to this moment. And it's, yeah, you can just like feel it in the air. So good. But
Yeah.
yeah, lovely story. And so you had like not been too sure if you were going to get married or not. Had you, having like the Together journal and stuff like that, had you kind of started imagining what you would want for your wedding? Did you have a vision in mind? What were those kind of first steps, finding a venue, all of that?
Yeah, I had always dreamed of having a wedding. I thought I really, really wanted one, but if it wasn't something he wanted, I was willing to let it go, but I'm glad he did want it. I loved looking through all the Together journals, and I loved all these big, beautiful, I really loved all the Italian weddings. And we have big families. We're both the oldest children and the oldest grandchildren. So we knew that it was going to be not complicated, but that it was going to be a big fuss around. Everybody was going to come, and that our family would probably want to make it quite a big wedding. A lot of our friends we had done our travel early pre-COVID, but a lot of our friends were overseas at the time in the UK. So we really seriously considered having an Italian wedding, having a wedding over there that we then thought we could make it a smaller guest list, because obviously not everyone would fly over to Italy, and then it would make it more accessible for all of our friends who were over that side of the world to be able to come. And so we really looked into that for quite a while, got quotes, started gathering a lot of ideas. As we started adding things up, and also with things being in euros as opposed to the New Zealand dollar, it did add up incredibly fast. And then we realized how many people would actually need to get from New Zealand over there. And both of our grandparents that are still alive are very elderly, so that was probably never going to be a trip that they were going to be able to make. So all in all, we just decided that it was better to stick to New Zealand and hope that our friends would be able to make it back or tie it in with a Christmas or something. So we started looking at venues. We weren't keen ever on Auckland. We still wanted it to be a bit of a destination wedding and still bring in those things surrounding that Italian European style wedding. I always wanted it really elegant and beautiful. And we did look at it. The places that were special to us were Sam's family had a lot of roots to Whangamata, so we did have a look there, but the main venue there didn't feel quite right. And so we started looking into Hawke's Bay. Obviously, it's got similar landscapes to places in Tuscany, and my mum lives in Hawke's Bay, and we'd spent a lot of time there. So I went down and went venue shopping around with my mum, and we checked out a couple there. They were all beautiful. It was really hard to choose, and I took all the videos to be able to send back to Sam. And to be honest, I think he knew that it was more my dream, that I'd always wanted to get married. He was sort of happy to just go with whatever I wanted. Obviously, he did have an opinion, but he was generally happy with what I liked as well. We have sort of similar taste. And we went to one of our last venues. We so happened to look at, my mum said that her friend from down in Hawke's Bay, he had a beautiful winery that he often held events at. It's a private winery. It wasn't open to the public, and that she had actually she was going to a wedding of one of her friend's daughters there. And so anyway, we went along and had a look at that, and that was just perfect. And it was so nice because we had the connection. It was one of Mum's friends. It was a place that it wasn't open to everyone, so it made it a little bit more special. There hadn't been many weddings there, and I was able to do that very Italian style that I wanted, was still bringing in a lot of the New Zealand things. And I had always dreamed about having an alfresco wedding, so having all the dining under trees with fairy lights and things like that, which generally doesn't work, as we'll find out, in New Zealand weather. But that was always a big dream of mine, and they had this beautiful lawn with a water feature running through it. So anyway, we decided on that was a perfect venue, and they were really happy to let us use that for our wedding.
Oh, so nice. So interesting to hear that process, and then really special to find somewhere that's a bit more exclusive, like private property, so there's not been heaps of weddings there. But yeah, I love that Italian style alfresco vibe as well. Which we'll get into everything that happened in a bit. But yeah, did you kind of have your top priorities, the most important elements you were thinking of when you were wedding planning?
To be honest, we'd been to a family wedding, and we'd only been to one friend's wedding, which was quite different. It was more of a low-key beach wedding using a town hall. So It was different to the style that I had imagined. So we actually didn't have anything to go off. I didn't even know the order of a day or what. I didn't have much experience with weddings. So I was going in really blind. The important things I wasn't too sure. There wasn't things that I wanted to focus in on. I just wanted everything to be really beautiful and elegant. So obviously the dress was a big thing for me. And then how the tables were laid and the signage and all of more those sorts of decoration. I wanted those to be how I had envisioned it and more along that Italian style. So I had always imagined tablecloths and beautiful napkins and beautiful sort of crystal style glassware and things like that. The DJ or I'm trying to think about I think I just really cared about every aspect. I wasn't very good at just zoning down on these are the three important things and that's where we're going to spend our money, which later sort of became a little bit of a challenge. I probably should have done that a bit more, but everything was important to me.
Nice, so fair enough. And how was the process finding your outfits, your dress? What was that like? Did you get it made? Did you go shopping? Yeah, can you talk us through that?
I had, going through the Together journal, I had come across this beautiful dress. It was by the company Levene, which is, they're an English designer, I think just based out of London. And it was so beautiful. And I'd seen this spread in Together journal and I just couldn't stop looking at this dress. Anyway, I kept going along. I booked in with my bridesmaids to do a few dress shopping places around Auckland. I definitely found something I really, really liked. But my mind kept going back to this one dress, and I was like, if only I could try it on, I would know if it suited me or if I still loved it. It was just I'm quite particular on fabrics. I had always envisaged a silk or something drapey. I'm 6 foot tall, so I wanted something I think that just draped down, wasn't anything big, just elegant like that, and probably not form fitting. And there was no stockist of this particular dress in New Zealand. I couldn't find anyone that stocked it apart from over in the UK, but I wasn't going to fly all the way to the UK to try on a dress. Anyway, after more and more searching, there happened to be a place in Sydney that just started stocking that dress. And my mother loves shopping, and she was very excited by this whole process. She was like, right, we're going to Sydney. We're going to just go try it because you're not going to stop thinking about it until you try it. So we just made it into a bit of a girls' weekend, and we went and tried it. And I just knew straight away that it was perfect. So she was able to take all my measurements and they sent it over to the measurements to the UK and managed to get that all made up. And then we flew back to Sydney to pick up the dress and do any alterations on it then, which it actually didn't need any, which was really good. And there was also a beautiful called Madame Chul, a beautiful veil shop in Sydney that we were able to go and try on a million different veils and styles. So that was really special as well. And so that was just an overall really nice weekend that Mum and I could go do, and we went shopping for other wedding outfits and for her outfit and things like that. So I'd always envisioned that. I didn't really have too much of an opinion on the second dress. I think that because my wedding dress, in my mind, we were spending a lot of money on this one dress, I thought, why would I get a second dress that also would cost thousands, or if you got a cheaper alternative? I just want to wear this one dress that I absolutely love the whole night. And because it was all silk, and it was a silk wrap dress, but you could pick up the train and sort of tuck it into the belt. So I thought that was an easy solution. So I decided not to go with a second dress. Yeah, and Sam, he decided he was looking at renting a tux. We rented tuxes for all of the groomsmen. We thought that it would be really special. I was getting a special dress, and obviously boys have more chances to wear another tuxedo again. Oh, I forgot to mention, I had always planned that we had wanted a really formal black tie wedding, because how often do you get the chance to dress up in black tie and really formally? So we had both always envisaged a really formal wedding. Sam doesn't wear suits or anything to work. He wears steel caps and that sort of attire. So that was really special for him to be able to go. He went with Crane Brothers and got a beautiful tux made up for him, which was really special. And then he wore his two grandfathers had passed away, so he wore one of their bow ties and then one of their cufflinks. So that was really special aspects of the day for him. For our bridesmaids, I purchased some ruby dresses that were all the same dress but in different colours, and we ended up needing to get one of them made so that we could have all the different colours. But I wanted everybody to be in as formal as they could be. I wanted girls with dresses down to the ground, and yeah, it ended up being that aspect of the day was so beautiful, and we're so glad looking back on photos that it just looked so elegant and so beautiful.
I love that. Yeah, why not go all out for your wedding day? Absolutely. Something, yeah, really beautiful about black tie as well, and just seeing everyone make that effort. So,
Yeah.
so good. And so you did have a bridal party. How was that process choosing them? Did you find that easy?
No, we did not find that easy. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers, so I have they're from different sides of my family, but I'm really close with all of my siblings, and we both never envisaged having huge bridal parties. Now seeing it in other people's weddings, I totally could have done that, but I decided I couldn't and would never pick one of my sisters, so therefore it was none of them. But I gave them other special roles throughout. That I decided to go with 3 of my closest friends, and that worked really well. And I wasn't too bothered on numbers. I just wanted us to have the people that we wanted to be involved with it. So for Sam, he had 4 groomsmen, and we also used one of his other very close friends as our celebrant, and then another. Sam has a lot of friends and really close friends. And we also used one of, well, I guess our friends as the MC for the night as well. So we had all of our special people involved in the day.
Yeah, nice. It's cool when you can give people different special roles if you don't want to have that big bridal party, because it can be a lot.
Yeah.
And how about the guest list? How many did you end up having? How was that process? Was it tricky to narrow down?
As I said at the start, it was always going to be a bit of a challenge with our strong families. And we're really close. I have separated parents, and they have been separated since I was 2 years old. So they obviously have different friend groups and everything, and we've got a lot of family. And then Sam is very, very close with his family. And so that was always going to be a bit hard. We also had an engagement party, which we intended to invite everybody to the engagement party so that we could refine it down and have a smaller wedding. But of course, that didn't really happen. So we ended up splitting. We had 130 people to the wedding, which originally we wanted 80, but 130 was better than 150. And we told our parents, I think Sam's family got 45 people that they could choose, that had to include cousins, aunts and uncles, anyone that they wanted. And then the same for my parents, they had 25 each. And they could choose if they wanted all the cousins or if they preferred friends. That was totally up to them. We weren't dictating their list at all. We just gave them numbers and they could do with that as they wanted to. So they were actually pretty good. We only had a little bit of pushback with a few people, but it actually all in all went pretty seamlessly. And then we didn't put a number on our friends. We just invited whoever we wanted to invite. But yes, our final number ended up being about 130. But for our venue, the venue itself, I think if you had a smaller wedding in that 60 to 80 range, it actually would have been too big a venue for that amount of people. I think 130 people, and looking back at it, fitted really well into the space. And it was a really nice group of people, and we had all the people that we really loved and were important. And it was a beautiful day with all of. It was so nice to have. There's so limited amount of times in your life that you have everybody that you love in that one space, and we ended up having 3 days worth of events. So that was really nice to have all of them there with us.
Oh, so special, so interesting how you managed that whole process, and then just like giving everyone their numbers so they had their input as well, your family. Always intrigued to hear how people, their strategy for doing that.
Yeah, it is a hard one.
Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about your big day, maybe kind of that week leading up to it, and those, different wedding events that you had? Yeah, run us through it. Any highlights, favorite moments?
Taking it back a little bit, as I said at the start, I like to do everything not my way, but yes, I like to be sort of across everything. And I also went to university to study graphic design as well. And so I wanted to be across all of that. And so I think that I thought originally, when I was planning, that a cost saver would be that I would do all of the designs for the menus, the signage. I would do as much DIY things. I would organize all of the furniture, design the layout, do the lighting plan. I just sort of put everything on myself. And although Sam was so willing to help with anything that I needed, it was a little bit hard because I kept it all in my head and didn't sort of express it. I sort of shot myself in the foot with keeping it all to myself, that people couldn't easily help me. In hindsight, I think one of my biggest things would have been, money well spent would have been a wedding planner, just because the location that we were having the wedding at was essentially, you were getting the grass, and you had to bring absolutely everything in. So that was a big organisation feat in itself, as opposed to, say, doing it at Mud Brick, where they host weddings a lot of the time and they can help guide you, and they already had the tables and the chairs. So that definitely created a lot of work and a lot of stress to be trying to do all of that. And I was just trying to save money wherever I could. But I think in turn, I probably spent more than, if you just paid a professional to do it, they probably could have done it more efficiently. But anyway, we decided to, it was really important. We had so many people fly in from overseas, from the UK, from Australia, which was so lovely. I don't think we had anybody that we invited from overseas who didn't come. Everybody made such an effort, and it was so nice. And so it was really important for us. All of our bridal party had been overseas at the time, basically. And so we wanted to rent a house in the Hawke's Bay area that would be able to house all of us, all of our bridal party and their partners that had flown in from overseas as well. So if anyone's getting married in Hawke's Bay, we hired this place called the Lawn Road Retreat, which had capacity for about 26 people. It was this amazing house, and it had a pool and a tennis court and lots of kitchen facilities, and it was just amazing. And so that was probably one of the funnest parts of our wedding week, was having everyone together and just being able to spend the time, and the girls being able to help me with all the DIY stuff before. And we did this big road trip down. Sam's really into classic cars, specifically Land Rovers, and so it was really important to him to bring down he has a 1970s car that he wanted as part of the wedding. So we had to, but that would never have made the drive down for the 5 hours. So we had to tow that on a trailer. So we just made a little big road trip with our whole wedding party, which was really, really fun. We had also planned to have a day before meet and greet at a cafe bar. There are limited options in the Hawke's Bay. So but that worked out really well, which was really nice to be able to speak to everyone before the big day. And we had our wedding day, and then we had our day after at the same venue. So our wedding day, we had the girls and I had gone and stayed at another house for the night before and got ready there, which was really special. It was just me and my 3 bridesmaids. I love my mum so much that her energy on time stresses me out, so I didn't have her staying with us, but she came around, and so did my dad, and my sisters came around in the morning, which was really nice. But it was just me and the girls that night. And we got ready in the morning there, which was really nice. We had a breakfast, and I'm not much of a hair or makeup person. I wouldn't ever really put makeup on, so that was hard. They kept asking me, "Yeah, do you like this? Do you like this?" I'd done trials, luckily, that I don't know. I didn't quite know sort of what looked good or what didn't look good on me. But I'd hired. I got local Hawke girls to help with hair and makeup, so that was really good, and that worked out well. And then we had also got a beautiful car to take us to the wedding. The bus that was getting all of our guests to the venue didn't know, for some reason it went to a whole nother location, so they were late. And the morning that the weather was very, that week leading up to it, the weather was very unknown what it was going to do, and I was holding really strong to, I really want this alfresco wedding. We're just going to risk it. There was a shed that we could have had it inside, but you had to decide that about a week out because the lighting to get it set up and to make it a wedding okay space, as it's normally a working winery, they needed enough time. So I decided to not go with that and just brave to see if the weather would hold out. Our wedding was in February, so generally a pretty safe month. But as we know, New Zealand conditions, you never know what you're going to get. And that very much was our day. So the morning I woke up of our wedding morning, and it was raining. So that sort of put me in a little bit of a, quite scared for what the day was going to be. But there was a huge storm as we drove to the venue, and luckily our vendor had organised, sorry, not our vendor, I had hired a day of coordinator, which was a godsend. She was amazing. And thank God we did that, because I don't know what we would have done without her. And she had organised all of these plastic kind of tarps to put over all of the set tables in case the rain comes. So luckily she had that on because when we drove to the venue, it was raining. And then it suddenly, as we drove down the driveway, it cleared. So we were like, go, go, go. Let's she whipped all the things off the tables, and we're ready to go. So that was great. It looked beautiful. Everything was set up so beautifully. The nerve-wracking of walking down the aisle, which my dad walked me down the aisle, which was really, really special. Everything was perfect. And then it's all that build up of that emotion, and then you finally walk down the aisle, and then finally you're holding hands at the end of the aisle, and it's kind of like it all melts away. It was a really nice feeling that we were with each other and had each other's support, and so that was really nice. I really, really enjoyed that moment. About 5 or 10 minutes into the ceremony, unfortunately, it started raining really quite hard. So we had those summer parasols that we were thinking it was all going to be there for the sun, but which everyone used, and it was hard because everybody was looking at me as the bride to make the decision of what to do. Thank God we had set up, we had one of those flagship marquees, just a smaller one that we had planned for a cocktail hour and a dance floor and a bar to be underneath that. And so luckily we had that, and we just had to make the call. It was raining too much to quickly move everything into that. So halfway through the ceremony, we moved everything into that flagship tent. And so thank God we had that coordinator who just did it all, got everyone reseated or standing around, and we finished the ceremony in there, which obviously wasn't ideal. And I think that looking back on it, I shouldn't have got in my head about it, but at the time, as you sort of imagine everything to play out perfectly, and you'd planned everything for over a year, that did unfortunately affect me, and I sort of felt like it was almost like an out of body experience. Like I just wasn't sure what I was experiencing. So that sort of set me off. But we still managed to do our vows and everything in there, which was so special. It was so nice. And the ceremony finished and it was really, really nice. And we have it all on video. So we're really thankful for that. That went well. We had a glass of champagne celebrating with everyone. And we had actually decided to, as our acting celebrant who was our friend, he wasn't a legal celebrant, but we really felt that it was important to have somebody that we knew at the front of the altar marrying us. So we had organised for a legal celebrant to come in after the ceremony and do the legalities around it. So our parents and our bridal party, we went out to the other side of the venue where we had it all beautifully laid out and we did the legalities. And it was like a little mini ceremony, which was so beautiful. And I forgot to mention, the rain only lasted 5 minutes, so absolutely destroyed the table settings and all the tablecloths and everything and the ceremony, but it only lasted 5 minutes and then the sun came out again. So to be able to do all of our photos and everything with the sun out, it was very windy, but that worked well. So we were able to do, a photographer could take photos of almost like our second mini ceremony, and then we did all of our bridal photos. So that was really special. It just felt not so overwhelming just having our close-knit group of people out the back, which we really enjoyed that. And the wind made for some beautifully dramatic photos. So that was great. And luckily we had our wedding coordinator who quickly rung up, got in some extra help to reset those tables. And thank God that the tables we had hired from the place that we were using, they had beautiful tables. They were all oak, so they weren't trestle tables underneath. They were all these beautiful, nice oak tables, so that when we removed the tablecloths, they still were really beautiful table settings, and no one knew the difference. It was only me. So that was absolutely fine. So we rejoined the cocktail hour for a little bit of time before making our way to the reception, which we had all set up as that alfresco dining, which it was beautiful. It, as New Zealand weather is, it is very much 4 seasons in the one day. So we went from the rain to the sun to the wind. We had all these umbrellas because we were scared that everybody was going to get so hot and need shade. But it actually ended up getting really, really cold. So thank God we had organised black ties, so then all the men's jackets could then be transferred to all the women. So basically every single woman was had a suit jacket on, which it was absolutely fine. Then we went on to the reception and it was good. But I think that my takeaway from our wedding day was that I think I focused so much on putting all my effort into everybody else's experience of the wedding that I lost myself a little bit and lost us about what we wanted and what was really important to us. And so we were able to find moments throughout the night that were really, really special, that were just the two of us. And those were all the parts of the wedding day that I loved the most when we were just together. I had seen it on a TikTok or something that to make an effort to not leave each other's side the whole day. And so I had brought that up with Sam earlier. And so we were together that whole entire day from the ceremony right through, which I found was really special. He grounded me a lot, which surprised me very much. But he grounded me a lot through that day when my stress levels, and I think I was quite overwhelmed. I really appreciated his support and just being there to remind me that it doesn't matter. Everyone's having a really good time. It doesn't matter that we forgot the lime juice for the cocktails. It doesn't matter that the tablecloths are gone. It doesn't matter about the rain. That it just didn't matter because everyone was having a great time, and we had hired the most amazing DJ who everybody still talks about today. That they were so good we had a DJ with a live saxophone, and they wore their sparkly bedazzled blazers, and they made such a good party. And the margaritas ended up being really, really strong because of the forgotten lime juice. We had to add something out else. So everybody definitely had a really big party that night.
Oh, sounds like such an amazing day. It's definitely an emotional roller coaster sometimes, especially dealing with all that changing weather and like, yeah, shifting things, last minute plans. It's hard not to get stressed about that. So understandable, and such, yeah, so many highs and yeah, big emotional day as well. But yeah, cool that everything worked out in the end. Did you like, you've touched on a few things there, but what did you find like the hardest part about the whole wedding planning process? Is there anything you look back on and regret or would do a little bit differently?
I think the advice that a lot of my friends are now in that wedding planning process, and I think my advice to them is one, if you're doing a venue like ours, definitely invest in a wedding planner, because I think that a wedding planner would have told me, let's focus on three things that you really, really find important, and let's leave all the rest. Let's spend our money there. Whereas with, I think I tried to do absolutely everything, which in turn stressed me out and probably costed me more money. That I think so. I think a wedding planner in my situation would have been really beneficial, someone that I could have trusted to run the process. That I I don't I don't have regrets. I think I wish that I trusted myself a little bit more about the things that were really important to us and not worrying about anyone else, because at the end of the day it was our wedding, it was our experience. No one was going to remember all the small details like we did. So I think I wish I would have stayed a little bit more strong and true to ourselves, but that's fine. I ended up getting all the things that we really felt were important to us on the day. But yes, I think a wedding planner probably would have been a good investment and probably saved me some money in the long run, as they would have known, no, we need this, we don't need this, you can get this from cheaper. I think their experience is invaluable. So yeah, I try to be a master of everything, but sometimes you just have to leave it to the professionals.
Yeah, oh, such a good tip. At least you had the on the day coordinator, I think. At
Oh,
least
she was
having that makes
amazing.
such a difference.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
couldn't have done it without her. She saved the day. I forgot to mention, so we had to bring in a whole booze fridge, an alcohol fridge, and we had pre-organized this anyway. We picked it up, got it there, got all the alcohol loaded into it. Then the day before the wedding or the morning of, no one told me this until after. They only told Sam, and the fridge had stopped working, and so all the alcohol was warm, and so she came to the rescue. She rang around and she happened to find her friend who had just been out pig hunting, and so had all these pigs in his trailer fridge. And she was like, quick, you need to get rid of them, clean out that fridge. And so they were cleaning it out the morning of the wedding. And she managed to get it to the venue and put all of the alcohol in it so that it was cold for the day. And thank God I didn't know about it. But it's little things like that. She just problem solved. She knew people, she got it sorted. And her name is Bex from Planet Events. And she was just amazing. She was across absolutely everything.
Yeah, that's the most helpful thing, just solving all those problems, not stressing you about it, just getting it done. So helpful. Could you talk a bit about budget? I don't know if you know how much you spent in the end, but yeah, how did you kind of find that process? Did you have like a set number? How was all of that?
We we had no idea how much weddings cost. I mean, you can Google it, and I think it says the average wedding is about $30,000, which I think I realized after just booking in the main things that that was going to be used very, very fast. So we had set an original budget of about 80,000, which I know is a lot of money. We were in a really fortunate position that our parents were willing to help us out with the wedding, which made the day be what it was. So we set the budget of 80, knowing that we might push over a little bit, but I tried my hardest to keep it to that. It definitely pushed over by quite a bit. I, now looking back on it, could have made a lot of savings had I not done absolutely everything. I probably, yeah, you could have cut down on glassware or certain types of alcohol and things like that. So it did push over, and we also had other expenses involved of obviously hiring the house for all of our bridesmaids, but that was really important to us, being that they had all spent so much money to come over from the UK or Australia to be there for our day, that we just wanted to look after them as well, and we didn't want them to have any financial burden to be there for us. And I understand why people have bridesmaids and groomsmen, because they were the biggest support of just grounding and helping and rationalizing everything. And they were honestly amazing. Yes, so we definitely pushed over that 80,000 budget. I don't know what the final number was, because especially we didn't sort things out just for that specific day, because we had the day after as well, which I forgot to mention, that we had our day after at the same venue, because then we didn't have to move the furniture, and we thought that was a good excuse to get through all the leftover alcohol. The DJ that we had hired, we'd already flown him to Hawke's Bay, so he was happy to do the next day as well for quite a small fee. And we did a very casual, just food on a table, salad and buns type day, so everyone could help themselves. And it ended up being such a nice day. We really, really enjoyed it. It was just so much more chill. I had relaxed. There was no agenda to the day. Anyone could do what they wanted. It was a beautifully sunny day, and that was just a really good choice. I'm so glad that we planned for that day after, because it's so sad. Your whole day is just over in one. After all this planning, it's just over. So it was really nice to be able to have that debriefing session with everyone that turned into a really big party. Anyway, so it was really good. But yes, the whole wedding process definitely cost our family as well, a lot more than I thought it would. But we had a great day, and there's no regrets of any money spent.
Yeah, so good to hear about that process. It's definitely, I think that 30,000 figure is a bit unrealistic these days. That's like, I don't know, the average on Google when you look at it, but quite hard to do. So, yeah, that's pretty normal for the type of wedding you had, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what we thought, and you definitely could have cost saved it. It did cross our mind to elope, to go on a beautiful holiday and just elope, which now looking back on it, the overwhelmingness of the day, I'm someone that does get very easily overwhelmed. And I think when all eyes are on you, it's kind of, I've explained it to my friends, it's sort of like you're up on a stage doing like a solo play and everyone's just all eyes are on you the whole entire day, which was a lot. That after looking back, and all the really special moments were just the two of us, that an elopement probably would have been perfect for us. But we love our families, and we have so many beautiful friends and family, and we would hate to exclude them from, like, we've all been through it for so many years together, and so we did want to have it as everyone be involved in the special day.
It's such a toss up. Like, you can have, yeah, really beautiful, intimate elopement, just the two of you, and a big wedding day can be so overwhelming, especially for the bride. I think it's like the most attention is on the bride. But yeah, at the same time, like you say, it's so rare to get all those people together at once, and being able to celebrate all together is so special. You had people visiting from overseas, so were you kind of spending time with them after? Did you go on honeymoon straight away? What did planning that look like?
We were really lucky that a lot of our friends came early, because they knew that we would want help with the plan, not the planning, but like just bringing everything together and be able to spend time with them. So lucky they all came before, and they were all due to fly out pretty much straight after the wedding. They knew that we always wanted to go on a honeymoon. I was very much pushing. It was very on my bucket list to go to Mexico, and I was like, perfect, let's do that as our honeymoon. The months don't quite line up. And also leave from work and things. Why don't we delay our honeymoon and just do it later on in the year? Sam didn't put his foot down for many things throughout the process. He sort of just let me run my course, but that was one thing he did put his foot down. And my mum also said that as well. She was like, you do not want to go straight back to work. He was like, we're going on a honeymoon straight away. He was like, we need to have that time that's just us to absorb everything. to be in that moment still. And I pushed back quite a lot on that, but I was glad that he got his way in the end, because I think it was a really good decision to just go away straight afterwards. Especially my stress levels were still really high, so I think that that was really nice and really special just to be the two of us. And we decided to go to Byron Bay. We had both always wanted to go there, and we didn't like the idea of straight after a wedding, when we were exhausted, to jump on a 12-hour flight somewhere. So we thought Byron was so easy, 3 hours flight, same time zone basically, that it was just easy. And so we found a beautiful hotel to stay there, and we went over there for 8 nights, and I'm so glad we did, even though it, just to add on to everything, rained our whole entire honeymoon. Which is just what you want when you go to a tropical place. It was just nice to just be quiet, eat some nice food, not be having to rush anywhere, and just spend all of your dinners and lunches unpacking all of those moments from the wedding, which I was so glad. I will be forever thankful that he convinced me to do that. And we also thought it was really special to do Byron as our honeymoon, because being so close, it was a place that we were able to visit. We just went back for our 1 year anniversary, so it's a place that we were able to just keep visiting really easily. So yeah, we had a really nice time on our honeymoon.
So good. It's, yeah, nice to kind of keep riding that high a little bit, not straight back to work, but also have that time together and decompress and like process everything, because yeah, is a massive high. Did you have any kind of helpful resources that you used during the planning process? Any kind of like apps or websites, different things for finding inspo or vendors, stuff like that?
I found, as I've mentioned lots of times, Together Journal so helpful. And I was just constantly looking through their weddings and who their vendors were, and then that became really easy to, so I could look at all the Hawke's Bay weddings and then see all their vendors they used, and I found that really, really helpful. I also found Pinterest really helpful for planning the style of everything. I talked to a stylist in the beginning asking, should I be getting a stylist? And she was like, after talking to you, she was like, you know exactly what you want. There's no point in getting a stylist. You've just got to do the hard stuff of bringing it together. So I found Pinterest really helpful for that and for all the design elements. And then I found TikTok. Um, TikTok really, really helpful. My whole algorithm had shifted to everything wedding. I'm still trying to get it off that. But I found that really like 5 tips that we did on our day that made it memorable, or 5 things not to do. And so that gave me all the tips, like make sure your bridesmaids aren't wearing socks or have hair ties on their wrist of the morning of, because you're going to have the lines. And that also helped me a lot for writing the vows and the speech. I followed people for that. Yeah, I found TikTok enormously helpful.
So good. So much good content on there now. And just, yeah, especially all those little tips of things that you just don't think about. Yeah, so good. You've given
Yeah.
a lot of amazing advice already, but is there anything else you would say to a couple that's planning their wedding at the moment?
I think the same thing that I said that I was sort of telling my friends is just try and remember that it's your day. And I know it's easier. People said this to us, and I was like, yeah, I know. But try and remember that it's your day, that no one remembers the small details like you do. So don't get in your head too much about it. Again, pick the things that are really important, and you don't need absolutely everything, because no one knows if things are missing. And things like wedding favors, if you have an idea and that's really important to you, go for it. We didn't do it. I just was like, we don't need another thing to sort of add to the list of things to do, and just not having to follow all the trends. So if you see something somewhere else that you think is really cool but it's not along the common trends, do it. Like, people remember all the things that were different that you did on your day that other people didn't necessarily do. So I think you just have to follow what you want, and if something doesn't feel right, then just don't worry about it. Just leave it completely and try to be in the moment of that day. And if things go wrong, like they kind of did with ours, that it's now taken me probably a year or so to process that, but now I can look back on it and watch our wedding video and back at all of our photos and be like, it actually was so much fun. It was such a beautiful day. You wouldn't have even noticed that those things weren't supposed to be like that, that it doesn't matter.
Love that. Such great advice. And what is married life like now? Do you feel like you had any of those kind of post-wedding blues just after
Absolutely. I was Googling. I
it?
thought I was depressed. I had read about them, I had been warned about them, and we were on our honeymoon when they hit, and I was so sad. I couldn't stop crying. I was just feeling like this really heavy pain in my chest. And fortunately, I haven't suffered from any mental health struggles in the past. So it was a really new feeling for me. I thought, I was like, am I going to be this sad forever? And I was Googling it and it was all coming out with the post wedding blues. So I definitely felt that. And as soon as they lifted, I was like, oh, okay, yes, it very much was. This isn't your new norm. This is the post wedding blues. So yeah, I did very much feel that. But it probably lasted the most part of our honeymoon. But we eventually got through that. I think Sam was on an absolute high. He did not feel that. He still says that that was the most amazing day ever. He had the best time. He doesn't know why he ever didn't want to get married, but that was just the most special day of his life, and he really, really loved it. So I'm so happy that he was so happy with everything. Yeah, we've now been together 14 years, and
Amazing.
it was just really nice to finally get married and just feel, I don't know, it was that extra step of being a family, being us two, and we're really, really enjoying married life. We just want to enjoy it as it is for a few more years. Even we didn't want to put pressure and sort of, as soon as the wedding's over, everyone's straight on to when you're having children. But we just wanted to enjoy it. Wow, yeah. We're like, what's the rush? We just want to enjoy being married, enjoy not having to plan the wedding, not having kids around, and just enjoy being us and living in a nice house. So we're really, really loving married life and glad that that came around after 14 years. Well, 13 years by the time we got married.
Worth the wait.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, no, I love that. Just enjoying it for a while. It's so funny. I mean, obviously you can do all those life milestones in any order whenever you want, but I have so many clients that get married and then they're like pregnant straight away if they're blessed to that to be an easy thing, or honeymoon baby, so just like on to the next thing. But yeah, it's nice to just like enjoy it as you two as a family. Amazing. It's been so lovely to chat to you today. Is there anything else that we missed or you wanted to add as we wrap up?
No, I don't think there is. I think I've very overloaded all my information on, but I find the podcast is just so helpful for everyone to be able to. You can see if anyone's had a wedding at that same location, see how they handled it, learn from everyone's mistakes and what they liked and didn't like. And the more stories you hear, I just find it's really helpful. So thank you so much for having me on to tell my story. It was so nice chatting with you.
Oh, thank you so much for being an amazing listener and now being able to share your story. I know people are going to get a lot out of it.
Thanks.